audio, audience heard. We're gonna just blend those two together. Um, there were some fuck ups on the tech side. We're worried that the Illuminati and the Hipstar crew are trying to take us down. We're worried that the Illuminati. Oh, Mike, I can hear myself in your screen. No,
We're
that's
still
my screen.
live.
Okay, we're back live on D Live too. That's
Yeah,
my
we're
screen.
back live. We're back live. We're back live. Everything's working.
All right, so presumably, the all the time episode, we got that covered. We're gonna move on to the Mark Random episode. You got that pulled up, Mike?
Yeah, I got to pull up.
Well, just in case the preamble didn't go through on the last one, I'll give a 2-second preamble. Great diversity of guests that we have on the Cave of Time, and we're about to showcase some more diversity. Starting now. Speaking of making it on your own, like the comedy clubs are closed. How are you paying the bills right now? Like I was doing some research for this. You wrote a book, right? Like it's on Amazon.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. So you've written a book. What, like, but I'm assuming that the book sales aren't paying your bills. Like, how are you paying your bills?
I said it on the first Legion of Skanks episode. I live above a dentist's office for like $400 a month, and I don't like saying this part, but fuck it, I don't care. I'm on disability for schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, and bipolar schizoaffective.
I got you. Okay. So why do you capitalize the R, the D, and the M in your name? Random. RDM. Is that a schizophrenic thing?
No, it's my initials backwards.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mark Random.
Got you. I got you. Okay.
You guys are really getting in deep.
What about all the okay? So like I was talking to Jason about this before. Like, where does the actor start? Where does the comedian start? Where does the real you end? You're on Legion of Skanks talking about all this like sex shit that you do for money. How true is that? What's going on there?
That's way in my past.
Yeah.
That.
For the audio audience, there was a wink. There was a wink.
What do you mean way in your past? You're 20 something.
It was
30.
Did you say you're 30? I thought you said you were 20 something.
No, I was gonna say 29, but I forgot I turned 30 a couple months ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in your past, you used to be a sex worker.
Yeah, it's kind of sad. I'm getting this anxiety of like if I'm exposing too much, like what your guys' intentions are using this information.
We work for the FBI.
This is a podcast and live stream. We don't edit this. It just goes out as it is.
All right.
Yeah, it's just a conversation. It just I saw that in Legion of Skanks, and you know these liberal comedian guys were like, oh, that's so funny. He used to be a sex worker, and I was like, is he okay? Are you okay, man? Because that sounds like you had a pretty rough time.
Thank you. Finally, someone who fucking understands it. It was what it was, and I'll move back and explain how. But yeah. I still presently have issues with my girlfriend because of all the things I did in my early 20s. And I think maybe she's known me. Like we live together most of the time. I'm here on weekends, but I live with her. I'm growing up. I want a family with her. And I feel like sometimes she doesn't believe the stories I tell her until it's like, you know, sometimes I won't 100% be there sexually and I'll just trance out and then I'll think of something fucking horrible. And then she just gets upset with me. So,
well, I mean, it's always kind of weird with comedians because I know you guys are like, there's 4 or 5 comedians in a room. You're trying to kind of one up each other. You're trying to be the funniest guy in the room. Obviously it's for entertainment. Like I get that it's your job. But you know, like you hear some stuff and then you're like, why is this just being glossed over? Like I don't live in this world.
Because that's the thing is, I feel like if I turn it almost like it's weird. There's certain things I want people to know that are real about me, but then there's other things I want people to just think are a bit, so they just like don't fuck with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I explained all the like the schizophrenic symptoms and things that I had, then I feel like people would use that against me. Whereas like the sex work I don't really care about, so whatever. So what happened was it's usually just being an insomniac that you really don't have many positive outlets. Like when you're 20 years old and you're attempting to like go to college or you're attempting to live on your own, there's no book clubs open. There's no fucking track meets. There's just like bars and motels and strip clubs. So you just surround that environment if you're kind of looking for work or you're looking for where to live. And then I just, by nature of fate, met some people that were able to introduce me to, the sort of like S&M lifestyle in the BDSM community. And that I would just like hand stamp at the door, you know, all that sort of thing. And then they took me along and they showed me like, you know, like how to tie up women or how to like slap women or how to spank women and all that other shit. And that's the secret I never really tell people, but I don't give a fuck. People think that I was just born, like I'm just a fucking world-class porn star, like that sort of thing. But it really is a lot of older women teaching me how to do this shit. So they, you know, like I'm going through my own Marilyn Manson thing, thinking of like, what business would a 40-year-old woman have to take an 18-year-old and teach him those skills? But I don't give a fuck. I see a mutual exchange. Like I needed a job. I'm into weird sex. So this is the path I'm going to take. Like I was the predator in that situation. But like, you know.
Were you underage too when that was happening?
No, I was 21. And even though I just said 18.
Hey man, if you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it. I'm not your fucking therapist.
No, I'm just explaining that that's kind of how that situation played out. But I stopped that when I was maybe 25, 26 around there.
All right, we'll cut it there. As I said, we got a great diversity of guests on the program.
The program.
Yeah,
the program.
On the program. To be honest, Jesse P.S. stole that from other people, but
this is an interesting interview with Mark Random, eh?
Yeah, I mean, in true Cave of Time format, we had an interesting interview with Mark Random. Yeah.
This really bothers me and upsets me. I don't know. Maybe it's just my conservative dad mode going into the thing here, but like this guy's talking about being a sex worker and everyone's like making fun of him. And you can see my reaction here. Like, look at my face on this fucking podcast. I'm disgusted by him. I'm upset about everything. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? And he's like, man, I have problems talking to my girlfriend. I have problems talking to, I want to start a family with this woman, blah, blah, blah. Like this man is not well adjusted to the things he's been through. And this comedian lifestyle that these fucking comedians are pushing on mainstream media really upsets me. But you look like you want to talk about something else. You want to switch topics or?
I was totally stoic in my facial expression. But now that you mention it, I just sent you a link in the Telegram chat, and this is new Mark Random stuff. I thought it was apropos to pull this up and show it to the audience, see what he's been up to lately. You ready to go with that?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, starting now.
All right, so there's some women in the audience. I'd like to apologize for the men's behavior in the Me Too movement. That if men are being honest, no man gives a fuck about your Me Too blog. If they're being real honest with, I felt the temperature in the room just drop. No man gives a fuck about a Me Too blog. It's like, oh, you got extra drinks. I got stabbed in Jersey City when I was a teen. I got this shit kicked out of me. Sorry, some guy groped you and gave you extra drinks. It's just sympathy. What? Yeah. Yeah, getting raped is no. You know what sucks worse than getting raped? Getting married and having a woman take you for financially everything you got. That's like jumping out of the bushes and have someone financially own you, physically, mentally, and emotionally. You have to pay for their counselors, and then you have to be friends with the rapist. That's what that's like. So yeah, I bet if we polled the guys in this audience, sir, you, anyone, would you, indie guy who liked me before the set, would you rather someone jump out of the bushes and rape you and then you have to go to therapy, or would you rather someone jump out of the bushes then marry you, then they steal their house, they fuck friends in front of you, they fucking you have to pay for their lawyer, you lose your house, you're homeless, and then you go to jail, and then you get raped there. Marriage comes with rape, so that's what happens. I broke my fucking don't say anything to hecklers promise.
All right, let's just cut it there. Yeah, I just wanted to. I mean, it's nice to touch base with what's going on post interview with artists and guests that we cover. I will say though, if you actually follow him on Twitter, because I was looking for things to show that he's been up to lately. This guy is not doing so well with the presentation, and not that we're ones to judge that, but he's got clips out there, and I think actually from that exact venue. I'm not sure if it's that exact venue, but very recent clips posted on Twitter, and he's at comedy bars where people are playing pool directly in front of him, and to the point where people are like lining up pool cues that are blocking the shot of him, and you can hear the balls clinking together as they shoot their shot louder than you can hear his own voice. I would just say that is not. You want to put out a slightly better image than that. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, I don't know, man. Like, his comedy seems on point. I really like that joke. I actually kind of. I mean, like, I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, made a similar joke, and I was like, "We're talking about slavery." And I was like, "Fuck, man! I sold myself into slavery when I got married. Like, my wife takes all my money, sits at home all day." Does nothing. What she got to do? Cook a meal once in a while. It sounds pretty sweet. I got to go home and get, like, she decides where we spend everything, what the money goes. Blah, blah. I was joking around. It's not a comedy bit or anything, but I can relate to this. I think this bit's kind of funny. Like, I think he's doing a good job. It just seems like he needs to work on his craft. Like, this
I'm not talking
seem...
about the content. I'm not talking about the content. I'm talking about the presentation.
Okay. Yeah. No, I totally agree with you. He needs to shape up or ship up. He needs to massage it a little, make it a little nicer, make it more presentable. So and we just went through our odyssey of our fucking podcast. It took us a little while to get our craft down and get it going, looking nice and stuff. Yeah, it's fine, man. It's fine. It takes time, right? I'm totally down with Mark Random still.
Speaking of Odyssey, we have to watch this next clip on Odyssey because it's not on YouTube anymore.
Yeah, so I'm actually kind of dreading this because I've been loading this for the last 20 minutes and it's not loading on my computer.
for real?
So if you can get it going, that's fine. It's a short clip.
Yo, mine's okay. I can
Is yours
pull up.
load?
I can pull up the hard copy, but
Yours
mine's
not load either?
loading either.
Well,
Why would that be?
that's a little funny, right? Because we know this episode works. So honestly, we've seen it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, you know, speaking of kinks to iron out, Odyssey apparently has a couple. Rather than wait for this, what I will do.
We could
Well, I
just
hope-
pop over it. Like, to be honest, like I could just explain it to you. So like you're in the chat and someone commented something at you and you're like, man, to people who say we pussyfoot around things, like go fuck yourself. Cause you're like upset that we don't push back. Like someone's upset we don't push back enough. We're not hard enough. And you're like, yo, fuck yourself, man. Like you don't understand the fucking problems we have to deal with. And literally in this episode's not on YouTube. Like we got a strike. Like everyone's fucking with us. This halfback coverage we did was the most like tame fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
We're showing a video that's already on YouTube. That's on, right? Like we're not streaming off some BitChute platform that's banned from YouTube. Like we're showing video that's already allowed on YouTube and commenting on it. And we got a strike for what? Inciting violence? Was this one? Or promoting
This was violent and graphic content, yeah.
violent and graphic content? And it's like, this is just another fucking pin in our side on YouTube. Why we hate YouTube.
That's really funny, man. I didn't realize. So yeah, so there was someone in chat talking about us pussyfooting around, and I'm like, fuck you. And then in that same episode, we get fucking banned from YouTube. Is this our second strike now? We had the warning, I think, with Paris, and then this is our our first strike. You remember?
We had the Paris one. We had this one. No, we had the Meghan Markle one that came later too. Though.
Okay. Yeah. So this was our first strike on YouTube. Was this one? Yeah. Okay. That's our AFBAC coverage. And Mike, why don't you just explain real quick what AFBAC is?
Yeah. So AFBAC is like the right wing version of CPAC. So you got Nick Fuentes and Meghan Markle. No, you got all these Vincent James characters out there, and they're all talking about how much CPAC sucks and how they're going to start the new conservative movement. And they're just a bunch of boring people. We watched, I think, 5 hours or something of footage sped up. And yeah, it's like the most fucking innocuous thing ever. It's like listening to somebody read a paper about how libertarianism is a good idea. This is not hardcore fucking crazy shit that people are talking about. They're not talking about starting the Fourth Reich and getting shit going and gassing all the Jews. They're talking about, hey, you know, like our political movement's really important and we've got a lot of force and we need to look at these issues and these issues are important to us. And we're just sitting there commenting on it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be moving on to episode 43 real quick, Mike. I want to check in. Is anybody in the chat right now?
We are. Oh, we got Matt C back in the chats. Welcome back, Matt. His girlfriend made him leave for a while, but he's back. Said, yes, boys, she's in bed. You have some great guests, no doubt. Nuka, Zues, Dolazal, Jesse. Those guys, they're pure internet. Oh, Mark Random, I saw him on the Legion of Skanks podcast running rings around some female comedian on there. So we got some Mark Random fans.
Well, yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be? Who wouldn't be a Mark Random fan to some degree, Mike?
Yeah, I like Mark Random. I want him back. You want him back? I want him back.
Yeah, I want to have him back. Yeah, I mean, you know, something needs to change, like with us or with him. But when something's fresh, yeah, we'll definitely.
I think he'll get a better go. Like once the pandemic's fucking calmed down, he can. Like he's already starting shows again, right? So his big problem was he couldn't do live shit, and so he's like, I want to start honing my craft again, getting out there doing. And I've heard even like Joe Rogan talks about, oh, it sucks, I can't do stand up, it's so hard, blah 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 blah. Fuck Joe Rogan. I'm sure Joe Rogan doesn't really have a problem with any of that shit. But like, if you're a coming up comedian, I bet it's been really tough for the last year if you can't fucking work a show.
Almost as hard as somebody who's on YouTube right now. But without further ado, we'll get into episode 43. This is our Antifa episode, The Power of Antifa. And this clip is just highlighting the difference, the contrast. And the contrast between the reality and what you hear if you talk to anybody around you, or if you listen to the lamestream media, they would have you believe that there is some kind of double standard that is actually totally inverse to the actual double standard that exists. So this clip is going to highlight that. Mike, you got that pulled up?
I pulled up.
All right, we're going to play it at 1.5 speed once again, and starting now.
So obvious. Like we did when we first started the podcast, we did the covering of Minneapolis. And we're watching Antifa like just fucking rip people's head, like just line up and boot people in the face.
Yeah.
Setting fire buildings, like emptying a fire extinguisher in someone's face.
Emptying a fire extinguisher in someone's face. This is a really funny thing to me. There's a somewhat viral video that took place in one of the BLM Antifa riots. I believe that was outside of a Target. There was an old woman who was trying to prevent the looters from looting. And
in a wheelchair. In a mobile wheelchair. And
she got assaulted. She got hit with a fire extinguisher. I don't believe they actually used the cylinder of the fire extinguisher as a weapon, but they sprayed her down with it and whatnot. Is my memory correct on that?
Yeah, I think so. She did get like hit though, like physically hit, and like
I think someone
choked her and pulled her around. They started ripping her bag.
It's a pretty brutal video. I like the contrast here because what we had with the Capitol riot, the central point to what made this so evil and so despicable and so clearly something that every person, Mike, Jason, and Sally, can empathize with, is that we had Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick die because he was struck and bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher by inhumane rioters who wanted to overthrow our democracy. Right, Mike?
Yeah, that's what happened. Exactly.
So Democratic House impeachment managers, these were the prosecutors in the Senate trial to impeach Donald Trump. They said that the insurrectionist, quote, the insurrectionist killed a Capitol Police officer by striking him in the head with a fire extinguisher. This is a quote from the impeachment trials. So recently, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, testified before a Senate Judiciary Committee. And what do you know what he said, Mike, about Officer Sicknick and his death?
I have no idea, man. I have not been following that at all.
Okay, because Sicknick was cremated a long time ago now. This attack was now months ago. So the autopsy has long since been done. All the studying and everything that they could possibly be doing has been done. It has been said that there was no evidence of blunt force trauma, Mike. And
where did he die from?
So, well, interestingly enough, after the January 6th riots, he texted, I believe, his brother and several other people, said that he was doing okay, everything was okay. It was actually later that he died. And the Senate was questioning Christopher Wray, the FBI director. So this guy has been a centerpiece for a media firestorm that has charged up political direction within the United States proper and the West at large. Why did Officer Sicknick die? The FBI director refused to say anything about the cause of death.
Why? What? Why? Why? What's the end game?
Your guess is as good as mine, Mike. All right, we'll just cut it there. I mean, it does go on deeper, but fuck it.
You know what's fucking funny? I totally forgot about this conversation, and then you brought it up in another podcast earlier, and I was like, "Shut! What? Who's Sicknick? What's going on?" Like,
well, no, it's funny because because we brought it up on last episode, hot news episode. On this episode, we were. This is us talking about the FBI director refusing to give the cause of death, and now it comes out. Now that, like as I said, we've directed public consciousness and everything that could have possibly happened with us thinking that he died by the hands of the vicious QAnon retard protesters. Now that that's cemented in stone, now it's like, oh, well, he actually didn't die from the protest. Actually, he just died of natural causes, and it had nothing to do with this.
And like, so I got Matt C in chat saying, "You told me this news. I never knew about it." Matt, I'm in the same fucking thing. Jason told me about this when this happened. I forgot about the conversation, and then the other episode he brought up again. I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, in my brain, it was cemented that this guy died because he was killed by the insurgents. And
yeah, that's why, Mike. What you have said is very apropos. Get all your news from the Cave of Time live streaming podcast.
It's not. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? And it's like, let's be honest. It's not hard to be good at news when all you do is just be honest about the news and you don't have a fucking agenda. Like, it's not. It really fucking blows my mind that.
It doesn't
people
seem to be
are so
true,
bad
Mike.
at the news.
Why if all it takes to be good at the news is be honest, then why is all the popular news not so?
Well, I didn't say it's all it takes to be popular. I said all it takes to be good at the news.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are pretty much hermetically sealed, separate things. Being good and popular.
Yeah. Well, get the fuck out of here. Matt C saying I knew about every other death, like the heart attack and the woman collapsing, but the cop, I believe them. This is like, this happens a lot. We cover stories and we'll be like, oh, XYZ happened. We'll see what happens. And then it pans out, oh, this is really different than what we learned. But like,
and it's so often that you can't fight against it. It's a tide. Like, we had an entire episode, I think 2-3 hour episode covering Trayvon Martin and just unwinding the knot, the massive knot that was made in public consciousness by the media. And that's just one little thing in an entire tapestry of knots. I mean, you don't even need to look at it as knots. It is the way that everybody sees the world. It is the hive mind. And when it is that strong, when there's a tidal pull in one direction, you can't really fight against it. And when you nitpick at these little things, you just look like an asshole. It's like, okay, well, that's just one little thing, but the tide is still there. And you're like, okay, well, what about this little thing? Okay, well, that's just another little thing, but the tide is still there. You cannot, as one person, as two person, as three people, you cannot, unless you are a modern day crusading Genghis Khan with billions of dollars at your disposal, go up against what we're facing right now.
So I've been thinking about this a lot because I just earlier on the podcast, just literally 5-10 minutes ago, was talking about like, oh, well, the victors write the history, right? And I've been thinking about this a lot recently. Maybe we're just at the age, we're almost 40. Maybe we're kind of getting to that point in our lives where we look back and things in our lives and say, oh yeah, like I remember this differently, like than the media says. Oh, I remember this differently than people are talking about it. Maybe it is always been this way. Maybe if it was probably more so this way. Like,
we've said this before. That's why we speculated that it might be a good idea to cover the Rodney King situation.
It might be a good idea to cover the Rodney King situation. Where would we get information for the Rodney King situation? Yeah. Where would we go to? Like we're gonna look at videos that were shot with camcorders, that were shot with people who own cameras shooting them. We could sift through that. That's better than nothing. But then, like, I don't want to be a Holocaust denier or anything, but like people talk about big events in history. Oh, this happened this way, this happened that way. It's unclear to me that any historical event that you could look at could be portrayed correctly. And I think if you look at legit historians, Dan Carlin comes to mind when he talks about his war podcasts, and he'll go through details that are piled together from journals and this and this and this and this and that, like just tons and tons of different sources all put together. And he tries to kind of put a narrative to what was happening. He always gives the caveat, look, like the information we have, we don't know the exact numbers. We don't know this. I'm just going to try and give you a personal, anecdotal view of what was happening from the position of the people that I've put together. Right. Yeah. And I think when you go far enough back in history, that's the best you could hope for, right? Yeah. And then, there's another book that comes to mind is Becoming Jesus. It's about how the Gospels are written and they are not, there's no videotape. It's just written by people who wrote it 80 years after it happened, right? So how can you take those kind of words as those are the facts? This is what happened when Jesus was around, right? So anyways, like you understand my point. We can move on, but it's an interesting thing we can dive into later in the Cave of Time.
Indeed. So we have an episode again that was banned from YouTube, and we got it up on Odyssey. Is there a timestamp on this that you want?
I'm at 5902. I'll say this.
Did you actually? Can you timestamp these things on Odyssey? Because when I opened this, it started there.
Yeah.
You timestamped it? Okay, Odyssey.
Yeah.
Okay, Odyssey. They got that figured out already. All right.
Y'all say this too. Like the Odyssey, like 1080p is 1080p. It's crisp. Odyssey looks good.
All right. Well, we're gonna play that starting right now. 41.
We're at 1.2. What speed are we
Perhaps
at?
we should have chosen
1.5.
a different topic or not covered the video explicitly. We are now off of YouTube due to community guidelines, strikes, or copyright issues. You cannot live stream at this time.
What? Or ever again? Or what?
I don't know. I need to look into it.
I mean, we might as well keep going now. Are we still on D Live?
Yeah, we're still live on DLive.
Let's get a feather in our cap then. Like we're among the elites of YouTube who have been banned.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of want to know exactly what's going on with that. Like, are we fucking banned? Like, can we actually post stuff still? Is it just live streaming?
Go sign up for an
you can
Odyssey
pause it
account,
right
everybody.
there.
If you're still
Yeah.
into this, sign up for your.
Well, so
We
that was us live figuring out that we were banned from streaming on YouTube.
We were like so fucking shocked at the time, and I feel like this is our move to Odyssey because we know this is going to happen over and over and over and over and over
Yeah.
again. Like it's just there's no way we can. What did we break in that one? Again, like I hate to talk about the technical stuff for the listening audience. This is ridiculous. This is fucking ridiculous. We're watching something that's on YouTube. We're watching something that's all over the news that everyone's covering. It's
And
a
we're
mainstream
commenting
fucking.
on it. We're obviously commenting on it. And like, if you watch our streams, we're painstakingly like, okay, well, let's just pause it because we don't want there to be any. I mean, there's obviously no moral justification for banning us, for censoring us for these things. There is nobody who's like, well, I want to watch the Meghan Markle interview.
So I'm going to watch it on the Cave of
exactly.
Time because
Yeah.
it's easy. It's free and easy to watch.
Yeah.
No one's showing up and be like, sweet, I can just rip this and then throw it into my editing software and then cut out all the Cave of Time parts
there's no one
and then
losing
distribute it
ad
illegally
revenue.
to everyone on DVD. And like
Exactly.
It's ridiculous. It's fucking insanity.
Well,
And
on
so,
that
I mean, like, go ahead. Let's go to the next one.
yeah, let's go.
Oh.
So, you said, oh?
Have some news.
What's that?
Have been blessed. So earlier in the podcast, my brother-in-law came. He dropped off a package. He's like, "Hey man, like I got this for you." I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, man! I'm podcasting." He's like, "No, you need to see this. It's a package. This is important." I was like, "All right, hand it over." I'm not kidding.
Mike,
I'm not kidding.
Mike, are you big timing me? Are you big timing me?
Look at this. This is the package. This is the package.
Shut
Look.
up. Shut up about your package. Shut up about your package. I got my own package.
You got a package?
Here. I
No
already
way!
opened my package.
No way!
I already
No
opened
way!
my package.
What is your package? No way!
We got the Eggy merch right here. Oh no, it's inside out. It's inside out.
Way! I got the fucking Eggy merch. He mailed it the same fucking shirt. I got three shirts. I got three shirts.
So I got the Eggy Gang shirt. You can see it right there for the.
No, I got that one
audience.
too. I got that one too.
Yo,
No, I didn't. I got
but
it
you didn't
slightly
get the Heather
different,
Gray.
slightly
You didn't get the Heather Gray. You got the white. Oh man, the white wasn't in stock when I ordered. Yeah, we both.
Well,
got the
I didn't.
Eggy
I don't
Gang.
even know what I got from Eggy because I was like, yo, Eggy, my fucking thing's not working. I'm gonna save some money on PayPal. Like, send me the fucking shirts. Yeah, man, I got the Eggy merch. You got the Eggy merch? Did
That's
you?
the Eggy,
Fuck.
that's the Eggy Gang. Okay, I don't know if you got this though. So I got this too. I got a little letter from Eggy. I got a little
I did not-
letter from Eggy. I'm gonna read this for the audience.
Where?
Dear Jason, we got the sun rays
Oh, no!
beaming from my name.
Look at this.
We got Dear
I got a letter
Jason.
too. I got a letter too.
Let me read mine first because mine came earlier. We got Dear Jason. What's good, brother? Just wanted to write and say thank you so very much for supporting and having me as a guest on your show. I look forward to returning in the future and watching your work grow and flourish. Stay blessed and take care. Eggy.
Man, I'm so glad that this happened because I was literally about to just throw this out and the letter was hidden in the bag and I got this nice letter. It says, "Dear Mike, just wanted to drop you a line and let you know that I really appreciate your support to the very utmost. You're a real top-notch dude and I feel like a more solid man myself to know you. Take care and stay blessed. Eggy." What? It came, man, like this guy, man. Personal touch to the merch. Stand up fucking guy. This makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, man.
Yeah, man. I love getting that letter too.
Wow, man, no one sent me a letter in like years, like decades. I have not got a real handwritten letter. Fuck. So we got to get our shirts on, man. Like,
right, well,
what are you going?
Maybe so. Well, hey, there might be more shirts in the future, but we got to play this clip.
All right, all right.
So this is Eggy's new perspective. This is the Eggman's new perspective. We're playing at a 1.5 speed. You ready?
I'm ready.
Starting now. About like so you said you developed like a nuanced perspective. Do you still see yourself as kind of this like good for nothing, hopeless nobody?
Well, I mean, not as much probably, just because I mean, I still like to keep a little. I like to stay humble. You know, as I've like to say, I like to stay humble because I feel like you're either going to be humble or you're going to be humbled. So, and I've been humbled, you know, before about some things. So I like to try to be humble. But now at this point, with what I've done, some of the stuff I've done artistically and creatively, and some things like that, I do feel more self-worth. I feel like I have, you know what I mean? I don't feel as worthless as I used to, you know? I feel like I could see some things within myself. I could see growth in certain aspects within myself. And I don't mean growth like just like the way how like the news would be like, oh, you're growing as a person, which means like you're just agreeing with like the media more or whatever. So I'm
You're learning about racism. You're learning about white privilege. And I'm just growing.
Yeah.
I'm just growing into my white privilege.
I'm staying midget mode on that forever. Thank you very much. I'm not growing 1 inch. But as far as developing, and the thing is too, also like even because I've had one girlfriend who I dated, like I said, back in that like 2016 period. And I ended up breaking up. I found out she was not being faithful. She was kind of being a whore. But because we lived together, you know, at my apartment too for some time, for like at least a handful of months, and that sort of thing too, like me being in that proximity to another person who I was intimate with, which I never had in my life, and like being forced to confront certain things about myself, you know, where it's like, you know, so many times in life I might have to confront something, but I could always just kind of turn away from it. I could always kind of like just, you know, go some other type of way about having to confront and be in confrontational situations with somebody, you know, that I'm intimate with, stuff like that. That forced me to like find parts of myself and do things, you know, and me doing what I do now over the last few years, where I'm on YouTube and I'm doing streams, I'm talking to people are bringing me questions about their lives. What do you think about this, Eggy? Or what do you think about that? Showing me different things, and I'm learning different things. I'm able to kind of take that in, and then, you know, as before, maybe I would have been a bit more sort of blunt or brash about certain things. Then I can kind of see a little bit more where people are coming from, and I can kind of get a better understanding of certain things. And I like to be having that understanding. You know, I don't want to always just like go with the easiest explanation or whatever I was going to make me feel the best. You know, going to the Blackpool video, you know, like I didn't care about feeling too good about you know, how I was feeling then. I just wanted to know what the deal was. So kind of going in that same respect, you know, I've learned things, and I feel like it's given me a greater perspective on life, on the world. I've been able to travel around the United States quite a bit over the last few years, meet a lot of different people, see a lot of different things as a result of all of this. So, you know, I feel like it's been a blessing to really kind of just learn more about life, and kind of, you know, because I feel like I tell people, because I was diagnosed as autistic when I was younger, and I said I think when you have autism, or in that regard, I feel like in certain ways that people are a normal person is born with like all the tools in your brain or whatever. I feel like people with autism, it's like you're working with like, you're not having all the tools. Like you got to find some of the tools. You got to like find something. I'm not sure if that's why they make the puzzle piece the autism symbol. It's like you got to find that puzzle piece. You got to like find the chip to plug in. You're not getting it. You're not having it all. So
that's exactly why they make it like that. And I feel like, okay, so like the first time I ever learned about you, me and Jason did this stream on Inceldom. And, you know, I kind of took the lead on it, and I was thinking like, oh man, these people are disgusting. They're despicable. They're so like, and your face kept showing up on all the threads and all the photos. And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? And then Jason sends me this Alex Manassian song. And I'm like, this is the guy. This is the guy I've been seeing over and over again, and like preparing for this podcast. And like, I'm in the fucking gym, like listening to this music, getting like so pumped, so fucking hyped up.
Society,
like,
those
and then I start like jumping into your music, and I'm just like, man, this is so fucking relatable. And like, obviously you're not an incel, classic style incel, because you've had a girlfriend, but just you completely like made me sympathize with all these people that I felt like such a retard. I was like, I can't believe I villainized this whole group of people like an absolute fucking, I guess normie or whatever you guys would say. But like, it really opened my eyes. And we did this huge stream about incels. Like I read the whole Alex Manassian like manifesto and stuff. And like, I really will to this day, go to bat.
All right, we can cut it there. Yeah. One correction: you read the Elliot Rodger manifesto, not the Alec Manassian manifesto. Unless you're privy to something I don't know.
Yeah, that's true. That was I misspoke because I watched the Alec Manassian interview, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean that was and I meant to mention earlier, like we've had Eggy gifts in our gift slot machine like throughout the course of this, and when I put those in, I never dreamed that we'd have Eggy on the show.
That's so funny because like I was looking back at them when I was rewatching the episodes. I was like, "Fuck, that's Eggy! I didn't know who that was before. Holy shit!" And then even like when I just told him about the incel interview. It didn't click for me that you had the Eggy gifts. You know, like,
yeah,
I was like, oh, it's just some weirdo. Like who? Oh, that's a weird gift. You know, like I don't pay too much attention to the slot machine because there's just so many gifts that are there. And I didn't pick it out. Right. Like I didn't realize it was a thing. Right. So
So I mean, you recently had an experience where you were watching his stream late at night. What was going on? What's going on with Eggy?
Oh yeah, he's doing all right now. But I was watching on the way to. I was driving my wife to the doctor, and he was having a tough time, man. He was really drunk, and I guess he did a stream where he was drinking, and then did an all night stream. He said he was for something like 20 hours straight or something. He was like almost passing out, screaming, like going nuts and stuff. And I was worried, man. I was sending him messages, be like, "Yo, you all right, man? Calm down, like chill the fuck out, take it easy." And everyone in the chat too was saying the same thing. "Yo, man, go to bed. Like, go to bed, go to bed." But he's all right, man. He's all right. He is back at it. He had a great fucking stream I just saw yesterday morning or the other morning. I think it was a sober stream, which is probably good for him. But yeah, man, he's doing all right, man. Everything seems to be back on tilt.
Well, that's good to hear, and I hope it keeps going that way. And I can't wait, man. I can't wait for his appearance on season 2. But so guest after guest, we've got perhaps a more illustrious guest right now. And Mike, I got some more gear. I got my own package right now. I haven't even opened this.
Damn.
So we've got our Pod Awful episode coming up with Jesse PS, Pod Awful. Let's open this up. Let's open this up for the audience. Let's see it live. You know what? It's gonna be sad. I don't think there's gonna be a personalized letter from Jesse PS in here. We're gonna see though. We're gonna open this up. Ooh, sexy. We got Mark Zuckerberg right there.
That's a pretty fucking sweet shirt, man.
We got the Zuck Hunt. Oh, it's so sexy. I mean, the Zoom filter is not doing it justice right now, but that's a beautiful shirt. Social Media Massacre.
That's a pretty sick shirt, to be honest. Like, I really like some of Jesse's fucking merch he's got there.
Yeah, and I mentioned before, like, what is his IQ? How does he keep doing this? I don't know, but it's a great job, great shirt. A lot of his merch is good. If you want to check it out, actually just podawful.com. You can check it all out there. But no personalized letter. So Jesse PS, I'm not going to say anything more about your shirt other than that because you didn't give me a personalized letter. And
right, so let's
get in this clip. I'm excited to see what clip you got here.
Well, all right, let's go.
Pulling it up for the audience. 1.5.
We could do it at 1 if you want.
Okay. Well, is it 1 better?
Let's do it at 1.5 because we gotta get out of here in an hour, right?
All right, 1.5.
Thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, I had a good ass time on your podcast and shit. Shit.
I do really, really appreciate the fact that it took us so long to figure out that you were doing this face because I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like, is he another guy over there who's like fucking up his stuff? Like,
There was a split second where I thought Jesse didn't know what was happening with this guy.
I totally thought he didn't know what was happening. And I was like, does he have like a producer or something who just fucked up and put a different screen on by accident?
That is my producer, Ezekiel.
The ex-wife.
I like to put. He hangs out in my kitchen, produces the show.
Yeah. I like to watch all our shows from my kitchen.
So, well, he produces it from the kitchen, and then I sometimes cut the camera to him. Yeah, what up, y'all? It's me, Ezekiel.
All right, Mike. I'm a little worried that our YouTube channel is going to get banned. But you know,
you're a little worried. You're a little bit, just tiny bit worried.
A little worried.
It's over. We don't have a fucking YouTube channel anymore. This is ridiculous. There's no way we make it through this. We're already 2 strikes in. Our fucking first guest back was Egg White.
The first one was a warning. The first one was a warning. We're 1 strike in.
Do y'all niggas ever play Call of Duty?
Oh, Jesse. To be fair, it was
Ezekiel. Ezekiel, you can't say that.
That was You
ever play Call of Duty?
Yeah, I played it once or twice.
Don't actually. I'm not a big fan.
Oh my god. Oh wait. Okay. Oh, John, I was gonna have to cut the video. Do I still need to edit that part out? Do I need to edit that part out?
No, that's me playing Call of Duty.
Oh my god.
I wanted to show you guys a clip. I actually got the high score.
That was a little unkind.
We beat the terrorists in that one. That was the one where we beat the terrorists.
That was a little unkind. Mike, did you see what just popped up on screen?
Yeah, it was nice having a YouTube channel for a while, but let's be real. We were never really in it with our hearts.
That's when we got bombed by Jesse.
Yeah, so fucking I don't know if you followed the next episode that Jesse did, but he was like
I saw it, yeah.
He was just bombing people with, I guess it was porn.
Yeah.
He didn't bomb everyone with the fucking massacre that he bombed us
the New
with.
Zealand massacre that we got bombed with, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, okay, so that
for
was
the audio audience. He changed his video to a video of the New Zealand Christchurch massacre.
So he's been doing that thing where he's like going online and just basically after that, I think the whole week or 2 weeks after his podcast was just going on podcast after podcast after podcast, just like porn bombing people with the exact same dude he showed us. So when he first showed it to us, I was like, oh man, there's some fuck up here. And you were like, he's fucking with us. He's fucking with us. I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw it coming and we were like, we were playing it cool. We're not paying attention to it. And then I guess Jesse was like, yo, fuck these guys. Like I'm gonna turn it up a notch. And he, we had to blur it out on YouTube. If you want to see the massacre, I guess you can watch it.
For what it's worth, I mean, after we talked about the Paris terror attack episode, other than that, this was their most popular one, season 1, over 2,000 views on YouTube.
Yeah. I mean, so I don't know. Are you still following Jesse? Like I was supposed to sign up for the pizza fund. I just have been so busy, like I haven't had time to do it.
Okay. Yeah, well, I've been following his free content. Like I said, I was a Pizza Fund member in the past. Perhaps I will in the future. I just don't have much time. Like the free content takes up most of my time as it is. So.
Yeah, I'll be. I don't think Jesse's going anywhere. I'm gonna tune in again. I'll see what's going on. But very interesting interview. Do you want to?
Yeah.
Jump to our next one.
Yeah, we got another guest appearance right now. This is the End of Gender episode. We're talking about Deborah So's book, Mike. Do you know who Deborah So is?
You mean Sandra Oh?
No, Deborah So is an actress on Grey's Anatomy who's also
yeah,
an intellectual dark web author.
He looks kind of like the Prime Minister of North Korea.
Kim Jong-un?
Yeah, that's her name, right?
Yeah. We'll get into it. You ready to go? 1.5 speed.
Yeah, just before we jump into that, Matt C saying, I'm scared to join the Pizza Fund because then he'll know who I am.
Yeah, I was a little worried about that too, but I have yet to receive a bomb in the mail.
I don't think you should be so much worried about Jesse knowing who you are. I think you should be more worried about the FBI confiscating all his fucking records and then knowing who you are. That, like, Jesse likes to fuck with people on their YouTube channels, but
Jesse's tame. Jesse is actually tame, though. He's literally a libertarian. Jesse is a libertarian who's very edgy on the internet.
Yeah, but exactly. Like, he doesn't try to fuck with people's livelihoods, but it is totally in the realm of possibility that Jesse gets in some big trouble. And then you are in big trouble because your name is on that list.
I totally do not co-sign what Mike is saying. I would say don't worry about it. There is absolutely no trouble that you could get into, but from the FBI for following, unless you're doing some other stuff. Like if you were having a secret pipe bomb experiment that you were running and you got caught up with this Jesse stuff, that might get found out. But other than that,
so to all our viewers who are making pipe bombs, don't join the Pizza Fund.
Agreed.
But to everybody else, you're good.
Yeah.
You should join it.
Exactly.
And he's got sweet merch.
All right. End of Gender, 2305, 1.5 speed, starting now. You're focused on individual happiness, though, like an individual's happiness. And, you know, everybody should do what is making them feel happy. And as long as they're not, you know, stepping on anybody else's toes, it's cool. Like, let them identify as, you know, I brought up the ridiculous thing, vapor. But let's say, you know, some media execs, some high-powered people, let's say, you know, Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and a couple other people, they all got together in a cloudy room and said, you know what, let's push, and this is outlandish hypothetical, but let's convince people that thinking that they are thunderclouds and thundercloud sexual and want to have sex with clouds and that's what turns them on, and you know they make this thing cool. And would it not be not necessarily ideal if everybody in the society were wanting to have sex with thunderclouds instead of the opposite sex?
Like, can I sum this up a little more realistically? Like, does the
you can't. I like the
well,
that's awesome. I like it.
Does this whole kind of like hedonistic attitude towards gender and sex degrade society?
And I'll take it a step further. Like, does the individual's happiness supersede civilizational well-being?
Okay, well, why would you think that individual happiness
Well, it's not hard to imagine a way in which everybody pursuing their own individual happiness would make civilization collapse. Would you agree?
Why would it collapse?
Because human beings are selfish and reckless, and they make bad decisions all the time.
Yeah, for all sorts of different reasons, like birth rates for one. If everybody in a certain sector of society is all not having any babies, then that will naturally collapse. No.
There's a lot of things that we've permitted where a lot of people shouldn't have made the decisions that they've done, and
well, exactly,
because of human rights, we don't restrict them, including who's allowed. Cisgender heterosexuals are having children when some of them maybe, arguably, should not, because they're irresponsible, impulsive, not committed faithfully. But it's their legal right, and we don't stop that. So it's the slippery slope has already been started. So I think fucking a thundercloud is the least of our worries. At least it's.
I don't know. I would say, like, to bring it to the real world, I think that there's a problem with. I hear that there's this trend in Japanese culture where people are sleeping with anthropomorphized pillows. Basically, they're sleeping with pillows. They're sleeping with pillows with anime characters drawn on them, and this is a widespread thing. And they're also buying used panties from vending machines, and this is a widespread thing. I would say that is a problem. Like, insofar as it's some oddball doing an odd thing in their own bedroom, but when these things become trends, could they not potentially become problematic?
What makes it problematic?
Japan apparently has worrying birth rates. I would need to look at, I didn't look into this specific example before the episode, but apparently they have very worrying birth rates. Like, they've got an aging senior population and not enough people working to support them, etc.
Yeah, and to your point, I think you made it well, which is, does individual happiness supersede the well-being of civilization? And those types of examples illustrate that for sure. Nonetheless, just because it causes the demise of civilization doesn't mean that we ought to regulate people.
Wait, what? What do you mean? Just because shouldn't that be the exact reason why we regulate people to preserve this future?
All
right, I'll cut it there. Great points, and these are the types of moments in interviews that are just classic. To be honest, not to toot our own horns, but I love the clash of ideas, and I love what becomes of them.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. I like working with the doctor. The pedophilia episode was really interesting. I really wish your tech issues didn't keep you out of that one, because that was a big
I was
one,
so
right?
pissed off for that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to have him on again. The problem is, what's the next hot topic? Like, we've done transgenderism with him. We've done pedophilia. Like, what really is on the tip of the tongue for society right now in modern psychology? Like, I don't know.
Well, who knows what the new Dr. Strangelove is cooking up behind those secret Pentagon doors of, the United States of America.
We'll find something. We will find something that is big and juicy and ready to go.
Yeah.
We're on to Greg Floyd.
Greg F.L. Floyd.
Greg Floyd. I've never heard of this guy. What's his name? Greg Floyd.
And I mean, this was big. This is our George Floyd coverage. I mean, if you've listened to this episode, you know it was a long time in the coming. It was a long time in the making, and it's here now. It's live. It's real. And Mike, I don't know what clip you got for us, but I got that pulled up. You want it at 1.5 speed, I'm assuming?
Let's do it.
All right, starting right now.
But why then are you allowed to have people in the courtroom crying? What about the court case that was settled beforehand? The civil case where they awarded George Floyd's family was it $17 million or something?
I was going to get into that. $24 million in a civil lawsuit was awarded to the family of George Floyd. It was a wrongful death lawsuit, and they awarded it to the family in the middle of jury selection, which, like, pretty much everybody across the board was like, that was a terrible idea. They've got jurors that they already accepted onto the panel of jurors, and they need to then recall those people and be like, yo, did you hear about this 24 million thing? Does this affect your, like, what you're thinking? And it kind of just poisoned the whole situation. And in fact, I mean, that's grounds for a mistrial. That's grounds for at least claiming a mistrial.
Well, I'm sure the defense tried to get a mistrial based on that.
Oh no, I don't think they did.
I mean, it's very strange. So, like, if this was not the United States of America, if this is another country like England or Ireland, New Zealand, Australia, they have stricter libel laws. You couldn't do that. You couldn't have.
We can pause about this.
People come out and talk about this kind of stuff.
So this is my through line. We talked about this earlier. If they had different laws, if we were talking about England and Ireland and everything, this never would have fucking happened. This is tying it back a bit, but this is the thing that I wanted to talk about in the beginning, where it's like, what the fuck is going on with the public influencing the outcome of trials. So now we've got Ahmaud Arbery coming up. We've got Kyle Rittenhouse coming up. There's probably a couple other handfuls of big cases coming up, but I think the George Floyd case has set a precedent. Unless Nelson pulls off this.
Well, first of all, two things.
chess-
Two things. The first thing is we already know that Eric Nelson and Derek Chauvin have shiny suits already purchased.
That's true. That is
second
true.
thing. Second thing.
That is a fact.
Yeah, that is a fact. But what is the precedent you say that the Derek Chauvin case has caused or has incited?
Well, the precedent is so. This is not words that I'm using for fun. This is purposely. Precedent in law is normally, well, when something happens in this case, it can happen over and over and over again when a judge rules. Society has ruled that if you put pressure on the jury and on the judge and fucking firebomb witnesses' houses,
okay, that's
trial
not
will
legal
go your
precedent.
way.
You're not being careful with language. There's no way a judge is going to come out in any preceding case and say, well, in George Floyd's case, Maxine Waters did say that she was going to firebomb
fuck you.
What?
I'm sorry, I don't want to be mean. But fuck you. Like, you're wrong. Like, yes, this is exactly what's going to happen. You brought up the case. You did. You were like, this is a real life trolley problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you were 100% right. So you got to think the judge is sitting there thinking like, oh, do I sentence one man to lose his life forever, or do I let a whole fucking city burn to the ground? And now this is a real life thing, a real life. Maybe it's not like written into the law. Maybe it's an unwritten rule.
Well, yeah, it's not written to the law.
But it's going to go through the mind of whatever happens with this. If this is not turned around, if this is not thrown out, this case for George Floyd, for Derek Chauvin, I mean, every single judge after this will say, well, that judge did it and it worked out good for him.
But the judge didn't do it. It wasn't a bench trial. The jury did it. It's not just the judge, though. It's the judge, the jury, the lawyers, everybody involved in the whole legal system. They're all together. It's like no specific. No, I don't believe that they're all together. These are all independent cogs. Yes, there's a machine, but there is no one at the helm in a situation like this that is saying this needs to be the outcome for these reasons. And I still think you're hanging on to your bet that Kamala will be president one day, which was, I will say, was made on an incorrect calculus in the initial stages of that bet. But you might still be correct. You might still be correct. Why don't we end that bet right now? Why don't I give you the bottle of whiskey? You can have it, and then we'll continue this conversation. Would that change your opinion of what I'm saying? Would that make you feel differently? About the George Floyd case specifically? The George Floyd case is a precedent for how every other case is going to be. So no, I don't think any of the rules change. In fact, Mike, I actually totally disagree, because I think if Derek Chauvin was found innocent and entire cities looked like Dresden within the United States continental area, Canada included. In fact, let's include UK, because cities across continents will burn. If every city in that region, in the West at large, looked like Dresden, after this, that would set the precedent. That would ensure that nothing like that would ever happen again. But it's already happened. Minneapolis was turned to Dresden. Like the whole thing that set this into motion. The whole reason that Derek Chauvin got found guilty. There some targets got looted, some litter seasons. Whoa! What the fuck are you talking about? Mike. We just went through the whole year. The riots that would have happened if Derek Chauvin was found innocent would make the initial riots look like a game of Twister. Like, they would be nothing.
We're not a game of Twister. They
what I'm
burned
saying.
the
That's
whole
my
city
point.
to the
That's my
fucking
point.
ground.
No, they didn't.
And
There was a lot less to burn. There was a lot more to burn that would be burned if Derek Chauvin. I don't know. I don't even know how you're arguing about this.
What do you mean you don't know how I'm arguing about this? What are you, a crazy? Am I doing a podcast with a completely different person? Like, we just went back through the whole year. We just looked at all the fucking massacres from the Biden protesters.
Mike, give me a ballpark. Give me a ballpark. How many buildings do you think are in Minneapolis?
My goodness, Jason, listen to the podcast on the Biden Minneapolis protesters. We go through all the buildings that are burned. We're like, this was burned, this was burned, this was burned. And the list is endless and endless, and it goes on and on and on. Like, burned to the ground, damaged,
Mike,
burned to the ground.
Let me ask you this: is it less than half of the buildings?
In what block radius? Like, what do you want to do? The whole
metropolitan
city
area. The metropolitan area.
I don't know. What do you think? Maybe like
I would say
10%?
I would say less than a quarter. Well, less than a quarter.
I was gonna say 10%.
There you go.
You think maybe 25% of the buildings were affected by the protests?
Yes. And do you know what would have happened? Do you know what would have happened if Derek Chauvin was found innocent?
Glass, like North
That's
Korea
what I'm.
would have been
That's
like,
my point.
Dennis,
so why
Dennis
are
Rodman
you
would have
acting
been
like I'm crazy?
No, because you're not crazy for thinking that, but I'm saying it's already over the edge. Like it's you're saying like, oh, it's
You
not going to affect.
you don't know how many edges there are to go over.
Now you've piqued my interest. Let me jump into the chats for a second. So we got Matt C and Kunal Desai fighting with each other in the. Oh, we got Raven Zephyr saying Pod Awful sucks. I strongly disagree. We got Matt C and Kunal Desai arguing over Derek Chauvin right now. How many of the 24 milli went to George Floyd's family?
It was actually 27. I actually got to correct myself. I was wrong on that podcast, but
yeah, how much do you think went to George Floyd's family? I mean, even if they get 10%, it's pretty good. Like, I don't think George Floyd's family is struggling.
Oh no, I don't think the lawyers took more than 10 or 15. 25 tops.
Yeah, I'm saying I think George Floyd's family is probably off. I wouldn't think.
I mean, you broke up a bit there, but I'm assuming you said they're knee deep in Nike sneakers. Is that what you're about to say?
Yeah, I think they got some new Air Force Ones, to say the least of things. Like they're doing okay.
What color do you think they got?
All black all the time, baby.
Oh, I'm thinking yellow checks, but yeah, okay, all black. All right, I can go with that. Go on.
You gotta go all black. And then we got Kunal says I should change my shirt every episode to match with the episodes we're watching. People are making fun. Someone else was saying that in the what? He's taking off his shirt. What's going on? That's fine. I'd get myself off the jury in a second. I'd say I can't find anyone guilty and leave. I don't know, man. Like, I don't think like normal people want to be on a jury at all to begin with. It's a weird fucking process, right? Who the fuck wants to do jury duty?
Both you and I would.
Have you, man? Have you been called a jury? On that, that's true, actually. Yeah, I've been called a jury duty before. Have you?
No.
I didn't show up, and then I got a summons from the court because I had to go up. They're like, "What the fuck are you doing? You can't skip jury duty."
Dude, they wouldn't let me cross the border. I'm assuming that I'm on some kind of list that wouldn't let me on jury duty.
Well, maybe.
Is there anything more in chat? Should we jump to the next episode?
They're just talking about Pod Awful's great content. I don't know. Derek Chauvin. I don't want the smoke. I'm talking about. I mean, yeah. We could jump to the next episode. Let's do it.
I gotta take over reading these chats, man. I don't know what this is. Blah blah.
Do you want me to screenshot you the chats? Is that what
it's good. Like? It's good. We'll move on. The final George Floyd take, Mike. This is the final George Floyd take.
Good. Is this really the final George Floyd take? Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna start at 11:43. Is it magically at that?
Oh yeah, on Odyssey. On Odyssey. Yeah.
11:43. Yeah. Unfortunately, it's on Odyssey. So I'm at 11:35 just because it's hard to kind of scroll around. So I'm gonna start at 11:35. We're gonna play it at 1.5 speed as we are wont to do, and we're gonna start right now.
Upset by the way, we're not upset, but disappointed. Like, I thought it was going to be more exciting. There was going to be more haymakers thrown by the defense. It was going to be more entertaining. I want to be entertained. But, so with Fowler, I realized, well, actually, this guy has a whole team of people that he's somewhat representing to one degree or another. And then if you're not aware, if you haven't been following the trial closely, Dr. Fowler, which to my eye is the defense, actually objectively, it was the defense's star witness. He, among the many things, the myriad of things that he said was or would be contributing factors to George Floyd's death was, this just kind of came out of the blue for me, I'd never even considered this, was carbon monoxide poisoning, because the tailpipe of the vehicle was right near him while he was being pinned to the ground. Now, the prosecution came back in rebuttal, unnecessary. They wanted to do this. They wanted to attack that thing that popped up. And what the defense was, we had their star witness come out, Tobin, pulmonologist, I believe.
Tobin is a cardiopulmonologist.
Yeah. So he comes out and he says, no, there's no chance that carbon monoxide poisoning had anything to do with this death because George Floyd's blood oxygen saturation was 98%. It was 98%. This is the high end of average. Average, you're expecting 95 to 98%.
Hold on. Let's back it up a bit. So what happened was, Fowler came out and said this kind of theory that maybe carbon monoxide was a contributing factor in the death. He didn't say it was the reason that he died, but he said on top of all the other things that could happen. And then it looks like the defense fucked up somewhere, because the defense went to the judge and said, we'd like to submit new evidence. We want to submit this new evidence. And the judge said, what's the new evidence? He said, well, we've got the gas readings from the blood that says what the carbon monoxide readings are. And he says, what do you mean? When did you get this? How was this obtained? Who told you? Oh, well, Dr. Baker called me yesterday on the phone and said that we have that from the original autopsy. And the judge said, okay, hold on. Like, come here. We got to talk about this. And he basically said, like, okay, you cannot bring that up, because there was a huge objection from the defense. And it basically said, like, hey, they knew what we were going to do in Discover. We told them about this.
Fowler actually said in his initial report that he thought that the blood should be tested.
They should test for it,
monoxide poisoning. Yeah.
And then they didn't give him the test results. That they did do the test, but they didn't tell him they tested.
Yeah.
And so then his defense hung on, okay, well, I mean, a big part of his defense and a huge part of his credibility is like, well, look at the color of the lungs.
And he actually says in his testimony that they didn't test for it, or at least he wasn't aware of any tests that they did for carbon monoxide. So if in a regular circumstance, when you're just seeking the truth, this is something you want to know. And I can see why a lot of people who are rooting for Floyd to get hung in public, I can see how they are really furious that these test results weren't allowed in, and I can see how they are really upset about this. But in the course of a trial, it's in some respects, I mean, there's rules. It's kind of like it's like a game of tennis. You can't just make up your own rules as you go along. You can't. There is discovery, right? And there is disclosure that happens ahead of time so that each side can prepare the defense or the prosecution necessary for that. And the defense built their case, and their witness built their case based on what was given to them. And then, so they did their testimony. And then the prosecution is going to come out and say, okay, you did your testimony, but wait, here's the thing that we didn't give you, that you based your testimony on us not giving you this.
Yeah,
so
and you might not know this, but like I didn't know this before, but the prosecution actually is the state in this case, and they have 100% access to all the records, and they decide what they give to the defense. If they want to omit something, they can. They could be like, oh, I have this, I'm not giving it to the defense. I can't bring it up later, but I don't want them to see this, because they run the lab where all the tests are done.
Yeah. So I mean, they did claim that they weren't given that part of the results by Hennepin County, and that Dr. Baker, the guy who did the autopsy on George Floyd, here's another thing that I want to say, but Dr. Baker called them after he watched Dr. Fowler's testimony and said, no, wait, we got those tests, we have those tests. Now, here's one of the things that I also wanted to say about the trial, though, is that there's a very curious mismatch, or a very curious dichotomy in the two types of witnesses that we're watching. There's one type where they're hanging by every word, they're very invested in the case, they're watching it on television, like Dr. Tobin, the prosecution's witness, like Dr. Baker, the prosecution's witness. Yeah. We already established in our previous episode that Dr. Baker wants a moon base, and he wants a slave population of people who don't use the term her story and instead say history. That's what he wants. Now this guy is like hanging by every word of the trial, and Dr. Fowler says there's carbon monoxide poisoning. He's calling up the prosecution team and saying, hey, no, look, wait, I got this. And then you've got Dr. Fowler on the defense side. When this guy's being asked questions, Nelson asks him, like, oh, did you get a chance to see Tobin's testimony? He's like, I saw a bit of it. And this guy's not, he gets on a plane right after and he leaves. Meanwhile, all these people are there, like, right beside the fire station pole, just to slide down, run into the courtroom at any given moment. So you can see that there might be some other like, these people are not acting like they would otherwise be acting in a criminal trial.
I thought, well, it's really strange, right? Because it seems like just how you want the jury to be non-biased, you would also want all the witnesses to be non-biased.
Yes. But I think now, okay, go on.
Well, I don't think it's fair to expect everyone in the trial to be non-biased, right?
You can't expect it. And I did raise some doubts that Tobin believed everything he was saying in our last episode. It did seem like there might have been a strain of activism in him. And now, he comes out in his rebuttal, tying back into where we went off on our tangent. He comes back into the rebuttal to Dr. Fowler's claim that carbon monoxide poisoning played a role, or may have played a role, in George Floyd's death. He comes back out in a unnecessary, I will add. They didn't need to do this. They come back in a rebuttal to that one point. And Dr. Tobin says that carbon monoxide could not have played a role in this death because the oxygen saturation in George Floyd's blood was 98%. Now, Dr. Tobin is the star witness, and he's one of a number of witnesses on the prosecution who have been claiming that George Floyd died due to asphyxiation from Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck. That is the bulk of their case. Now, Dr. Baker, he did the autopsy, and he said that there was a heart attack. They had the MMA expert, the mixed martial arts.
Pulmonary arrest. It's slightly different than a heart attack, but yeah.
Well, layman's terms, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had the literally the Bruce Lee of our times. They had the top MMA champion in the world. This guy he's got belts over his shoulder at all time from various wrestling matches. He's got a black belt. Oh, I think what's the next step from black belt? He's got all sorts of belts on him at all times because he's won every award. And
he beat up Conor McGregor in a bar.
Yeah, he's killed multiple rare animals, saber-toothed tigers. This guy is an animal. But
he challenged George Floyd to a debate.
I would not want to do that. That's a brave man. And this guy said that it was a blood choke, famously, and that so we had the MMA expert saying that there was blood cut from George Floyd's brain due to Derek Chauvin kneeling on his neck. We had Dr. Baker saying, no, it was layman's terms, heart attack. We had a slew of other witnesses saying, no, it was asphyxiation, suffocation due to Derek Chauvin kneeling on him. Now, Tobin, the star witness who's been pushing this asphyxiation theory, who he says it's an objective fact, he pinpoints the moment that George Floyd dies in the video, and this guy is the guy on the prosecution. And he is the same guy who comes out in this unnecessary rebuttal to rebut some little nitpicking thing and says the blood oxygen saturation was 98%. My question to you is, how do you die from asphyxiation when this has already been testified in court that the blood oxygen saturation is the body's oxygen reserves? And we were doing some research before the show, like how we've got all the greatest legal and medical minds looking at this case. The spotlight of the world is focused on this case. And how does it slip through the cracks that all these medical experts are testifying that this was certainly asphyxiation death when they know that the blood oxygen saturation is 98%. And I'm not saying this facetiously. I might be missing something. Am I missing something?
Yeah, okay, so I looked into this. Like, I have...
All right, I'm pausing right there. So we're talking about the 98% blood oxygen concentration in George Floyd's blood. And what we're talking about right now, I mean, I don't know the color of the shiny suits that they bought, but if it's blood red, I mean, what does that say, Mike?
Well, fuck. Like, did you... I mean, I don't know if you remember when we first started talking about this. Like, I was talking to a paramedic and he said, oh, you could raise the blood oxygen level by doing CPR. And I've read online since then that you can raise it by giving someone oxygen and then that'll raise it again. And that's why it was there. So I don't know. What do you think? Like, what you think?
Well, I mean, then if that's not the case, then Tobin was totally wrong, and he could have very well had a contributing factor of the carbon monoxide from the exhaust pipe.
No, okay. Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah. It's got to be one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's either got to... Yeah. But Derek Chauvin's lawyer chose... He said in his... what was it? His outgoing statement, like his final statement, he was like... I could tell you about the carbon monoxide, but that would be dishonest. That would be not representative of the truth. He covered it in his...
Speaking of the truth, I mean, I mentioned in that clip, and perhaps I'm somewhat too sympathetic to those of different opinions than mine, because I said that, like, very sympathetic to people who want everything out in the open. So for example, the carbon monoxide tests that were explicitly done during that autopsy were not allowed into the trial because the prosecution stupidly did not have those on hand, and they did not introduce them in discovery or anything like that. So when Dr. Fowler brought up that argument that, maybe carbon monoxide had something to do with it, they weren't able to counter it with the carbon monoxide test. They came up with this wonky blood oxygen concentration thing. But if you were really concerned about the truth and you were very upset about that, well, you should also be concerned about Maurice Hall not testifying, because the prosecution will not give him immunity because they know it will hurt their case. The guy who fed George Floyd fentanyl for
Shh, stop it. Stop it, Jason. You're going to get us in trouble with the FBI. Stop.
Yeah, we're going to get further deboosted for mentioning Maurice Hall.
We're going to get deboosted from airplanes. It's like, fuck. What the fuck? Yeah, why the fuck did they let Maurice Hall plead the fifth or whatever it is?
They refused to give him immunity. And very obviously, from every perspective I've ever heard on this, is because they knew it would hurt their case.
Man is selling drugs for a living. This is what he does for a living. And he was selling drugs to George Floyd.
Yes.
And the case hinges on, did he die from a drug overdose or carbon monoxide poisoning or a knee on the neck? And they say, well, we'll just take one of those out of there. And you don't need to worry about it. Don't think about that.
Yeah, you know what? I keep on bringing back the fact that Eric Nelson and Derek Chauvin both are now proud owners of shiny suits. But I don't know whether or not Maurice Hall and George Floyd's corpse have shiny suits bought for them. So it might be shiny suit versus shiny suit. And I mean, I was saying that obviously if Eric Nelson has a shiny suit on, he's going to win the appeal if it happens. But if Maurice Hall has a shiny suit too, I don't know.
How long do you think it'll be before Maurice Hall gets arrested for something completely unrelated to this case and then ends up in the news?
That would be very funny.
Well,
That
it won't
would
be
be
funny.
very
It's
funny.
just a matter of time. Like, this guy is a criminal for a living, and all the police in the area know who the fuck he is. Everyone in the world is watching him right now. How long is it before he commits a crime and gets arrested? And then it's in the news, and it's like, oh, the guy who wouldn't testify in the George Floyd case has been arrested for selling heroin to someone in the overdose from fentanyl fucking spike or whatever, right? Like, seriously, what do we think? That this guy is just gonna get a job at Wendy's or something? What does this guy do for a living? He sells drugs. How long, like, unless they legalize all the drugs there and he can, I don't know, start a weed farm or something, what the fuck is this guy gonna do?
So I got bad news, Mike. The Mars episode that is happening on the next thing that we're about to cover is not loading for me on Odyssey. I do have the file that I've imported into Firefox, but I think I only have the MP, or rather it's like an audio only. Is it loading for you on Odyssey? This is going to be a trapping for Odyssey. Odyssey is they don't have the multi-billionaire CIA, FBI covered organization that Odyssey has, or rather that Google has.
Well, it loaded fine for me, but we can play the audio from
Well, I can
122.
try reloading one or two more times, but it was not loading for me. You know,
Well-
I'm sorry to say it's not loading. The media could not be loaded.
Do you want to bring up the audio, or do you want
Yeah,
me to
sure.
just
What's the
walk you
timestamp on
through
the
it?
audio?
It's 122:28.
122:28. All right, I'm going to start at 122:21 because that's much easier.
Are we doing one speed? We can do one speed if it makes it
Yeah,
easier
one
for you.
speed. All right,
let's do
starting now.
For example, people who say the term history instead of her story. How would a Mars base be better or worse than a moon base to A, perform slave labor tasks benefiting people, specifically Black Lives Matter, and B,
Your audio is so
be
bad for this.
brutal punishment to its slave inhabitants? Thanks for the consideration.
Yeah,
Have a great show, guys.
Hey, it would be harder on Mars because of the gravity. If you wanted to slave labor, you definitely want to put them in like the worst conditions possible, which would be Mars because the gravity would be worse than the moon. So all the work would be harder. I would love to know.
Sorry, say it again. Say it again.
What?
Tell me again. I missed that. Tell me again.
Okay, so he was saying like which would be worse, slaves on Mars or slaves on the moon? Is that
How would a base on Mars be better or worse than the base on the moon for these two things? A, performing slave labor tasks benefiting the people of Earth, specifically Black Lives Matter, and B, in the brutal punishments to its slave inhabitants.
So if you wanted to have the most efficiency out of slaves to benefit Earth, you want to be on the moon because there's, I don't know the mineral composition of the moon, but if there was stuff there, that's where you have less gravity, so it's going to be easier to work. And then if you wanted them to suffer more, they would have to go to Mars.
All right, you give it a pause. So it'll depend.
All right, pause.
Okay. So we've heard throughout this odyssey that we've been going on The moon base. Jason, you're all about the moon base and Dr.
Me?
Baker's moon base.
Me, I'm not all about the moon base. I'm just looking at the world around me. This is what the world around me is like. This is Andrew Baker's plan.
Andrew Baker famously for the moon base. But I want to hear your view on the moon base. What do you think about the advantages of having a moon base over Mars base? What is the moon base, Jason? How is this going to play out for us?
Well, I mean, I think the moon base is a very good idea because Mars is a lot more colorful versus the moon. The moon is very gray, black, and white. I mean, and that's very. I feel like I've said the term apropos like a dozen times already during this episode. And I've never said it before, but that color composition is very fitting. Also, the moon. I don't know if you know this, Mike, but it has a dark side to it, where you could house. That's a much more fitting place for white people for their crimes against humanity. No, you're making face like it's not.
Is there going to be redlining on the dark side of the moon?
Well, that's the thing. We got to put an end to redlining. So yeah, and having color in general, like having any kind of vibrancy, should be off the table. So aesthetically, we definitely want to go for a moon base. Dark side of the moon, especially like 100 Years in Darkness, like all these types of things are very, very fitting.
All right, so I actually wanted to show this clip because it was the question you posed. I thought it was funny, but the first episode we did without you, man, and fuck, it was
the Cove of Time,
the half arc of time, the archetypal episode.
Yeah, there you go. If you're gonna say overarching, you got to say arc. Wait, if you're gonna say overarching, you got to say archetypal. Yeah, that's true.
Archetypal. Yeah. So I mean, we wanted to get an episode done. You know, we do it for the fans and stuff, but it was a little lonely out there, Jason, without you.
Don't worry, because I'm back on the next episode. I'm back on hot news. And if you want to pull up the first, I got 2 clips for that. So we got a problem that you pointed out. You brought a clip to the table, and we saw a problem, and I just want to play that. Are you all set with that?
I'm ready for the problem.
Yeah, we're gonna play it at 1.5 speed starting now.
Tariq Nasheed posted this and got 3.5 million views.
Well, let me know when you want to play it.
Yeah, we can throw it on.
Right now?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, starting now.
Because you all made a mistake?
Not really, no.
So you want to get mad and hit the computer because you made a mistake? Because your company made a mistake? You want to take it out on me?
I'm not taking it out on you.
So why did you get mad and hit the computer? Why did you get mad and hit the computer? I'm sure you're on camera, right?
Yeah, I am.
I'm sure you're on camera.
You really
So
have
this
to
is
see
the
the
type of
video.
people that have working here.
Oh, he just
You
smashed
really
his
have to see
face
the
with
video,
the
yeah.
bar. He's
He
hitting
just punched himself in the face, hit his head against the computer.
Yeah.
There's a guy working behind the desk at Holiday Inn.
Yeah. He's crying.
Now he's crying and he runs behind the corner.
You got to be kidding me.
You gotta be kidding me. The music in the background is good juxtaposition.
Wow.
Yeah, so I mean, since this video went, like a whole bunch of people reported on it and basically called Tariq Nasheed a piece of shit. Apparently, this guy was on Reddit saying he's got mental disabilities. Apparently, the guy who filming.
Wait, sorry, this guy was on who? Like the actual
this
guy,
yeah, this guy behind the desk was on Reddit saying he's got all these like mental disabilities, and they think I don't know exactly what it is. They think he's like borderline personality disorder or he's got like autism spectrum or something. The guy who's filming apparently called him the F word for homosexuals, and was just like bullying him, and then started filming him when he like freaked out. So I mean, Ben Shapiro's been talking about this. All the usual suspects and conservatives.
All right, we'll stop right there. So this is a bit of a problem of the everyman, right, Mike? What do you do? What do you do when you're in a situation like that? How can you handle yourself? It seems like there's no way out. And
Seems
certainly
like-
for you and me,
seems like
we
there's
were
one way out.
we were at a standstill. What's going to happen? I mean, this guy's getting harassed. He's got very well-to-do black gentleman, videographer, filming him and giving him a hard time. And this guy has no way out. So he does what any rational person would do and hits himself in the head, bashes the computer screen, runs away crying. But Mike, what if there was a better solution? And what if the YouTube chat, what if the online chat could solve this problem for us? That's my question to you. And I think we have a solution right here. So this is the next link that I have for this episode. I want you to pull that up. And because we're nearing the end, why don't we just play this at 1x speed? Why not? We're gonna play it at 1x speed. You ready?
I'm ready.
Starting now.
Falling down. Ridic Richie says he could have called Tariq the N-word. It wasn't Tariq filming, so he could have called Tariq the N-word, but it would have been very strange.
Honestly, Mike, that was probably the best reaction he could have had. The most is it not?
The most reasonable reaction?
The most effective.
Well, I don't know. What do you want the outcome to be? Because the outcome's pretty good. Like, he's got 150.
I want the outcome to be legacy.
Yeah, but you want that like George Floyd legacy, or you want that Derek Chauvin legacy?
Ooh, that's a good question. Yes. Wait. The George Floyd legacy is out of the question. So he's got to go for what he can take.
Yeah, but he's so like if he calls the guy the N-word, he's the enemy.
Mike, check out what I'm doing with my hand. He's got to drop the N-bomb.
What does this mean?
That's what people do when they have very important things, and they are more important than you.
So who talks like this? Fucking Kamala Harris probably talks like this.
No, every politician who's worth a dime of salt does this.
Worth a What the fuck are you talking about?
Are you joking?
This does seem something like Joe Biden.
A politician do that?
Yeah, we have got to put this country back together and start the healing process. Yeah, you know what? I do like this. I'm gonna start doing this. He should have called him the N-word. He should have.
There we go. That's good. That's good. You were convinced by the end of that, Mike. You seem like you're not convinced right now, but you said it. You said that's what he should have done. I think we can all agree that's what he should have done.
Yeah, that's totally what he should have done. He had to call him. What was his other fucking option at this point? The guy's slamming his face through a fucking computer screen. Oh my God, my life is over. Yeah, he should have just called him the N-word like this. Said, listen, sir, you are an N-word. You are an N-word, and I will not tolerate this anymore. Go away.
Mike, we're on episode 52 right now. We just covered 51 episodes. We just covered 51 episodes. Can you believe it? I can't believe it.
What a fucking look back, eh?
What a journey.
Yeah, what a journey.
And there we go. I mean, well, I just want to say that last little quip there, that episode 51, we're solving the problems of the world, like one by one, solving the internet's problem, the world's problems.
Dude, we're solving like 10 at a time.
And we're only just begun. We've only just begun this journey of solving the internet's problems. I mean, I will say, Mike, maybe before the new season we take a little hiatus, 2-3 weeks, maybe sometime in June we start back up.
Well, yeah, I mean, we could talk about it. I don't think it takes 2-3 weeks to read a book, but yeah, maybe you got your work schedule, I got my work schedule. Maybe we take a break. Also, we did do 53 episodes.
It's true.
For a fucking season.
It's true. It's
like
true.
I think fucking the last person who did that was maybe like the Transformers in the 1980s.
Yeah, and when it comes to like we got, I feel like we have to design a new episode. I mean, Pod Awful, Jesse PS, Shad on our template set up. Maybe I got to shift that around so like that the internet aristocrat, like all these people in the elite spheres can respect us. Maybe we got to do that. I don't know.
Maybe we should not give a fuck and do what we think is best. Because I think it's clear things are going well. We're onto something. We're doing good content, and I don't think we should worry as much in the coming year about.
Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe you're right. Maybe we'll come back. Maybe we'll come back for season 2, and it'll be the Cave of Time that you know and love, and it'll be the same red and blue double dragon. Simple template setup. We got our today's special. I don't know what you would even call that. A light box around our GIF machine. Yeah, maybe. Why fix it if it's not broken? Maybe
it's not broken. It's running along, Jason. It's running along, and we are in the new home, in the Odyssey home. We don't have to worry about censorship. We don't have to worry about people wiping us off the face of the planet.
It was a bad omen that a video or two there wasn't loading for us during this particular broadcast. But
we don't have to worry about that anymore because we'll be on Odyssey. We'll be there.
That's true. We'll be on Odyssey. We won't need to wait for Odyssey because we'll be on Odyssey. We will be the Odyssey. We are the Odyssey. I am the. Why am I looking outside myself? I am the Odyssey.
Aren't we all the Odyssey? Isn't there a little bit of Odyssey?
No,
in
some people
all of
aren't.
us?
I don't want to. No, some people aren't.
They have the call to the Odyssey. The call. They have the call to take on what is the Odyssey.
Yeah, but it's a collect call, and I don't know if they're paying that fee, man. I don't know.
They will pay the fee, Jason.
I'm not paying. I'm not paying this. I already pay Zencast, Mike. I already pay Zencast to do our podcasting stuff. So
Do you really pay Zencast?
you didn't know that?
All right. I didn't know you pay Zencast.
Yeah, man. It's not even a nice fee. I think it's something like $12 a month.
Well, if it makes you feel better, I pay Zoom. I think it's like $15 a month.
So
I think
is it 14?
I don't know. I think it's
All right. We'll call it even.
$15
We'll call
US.
it even.
Yeah,
We'll call it even.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, Zoom is. I mean, they've done the typical big tech thing where they develop that monopoly and then fucking
We never
start.
talked about that. So like
Yeah.
we used to do Zoom because Zoom was free and
Yeah.
you could have 1 million people on. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh, you want to have a third person on? You can only have them for 20 minutes. And so I was like, oh, don't worry, I'll just get one. I need one for work anyways. Don't worry. And then you tried to host fucking a Zoom cast with us, and after 20 minutes, they're like, no, you can't do this for more than 20 minutes for two people to talk.
Yeah.
So Zoom is like completely corporate. Fuck Zoom. Zoom is garbage. You know what? We should probably look for a replacement for Zoom, to be honest.
Well, that in that case, we will definitely need some weeks off. But we do want to say thank you to all the listeners, Mike. We never say thank you to all the listeners.
We don't say it enough. Thank you very much.
And maybe that's why Andre Nicotina left.
Sorry, Andre. I'm sorry I didn't appreciate you.
Maybe he's still listening somewhere.
He just doesn't comment anymore. Maybe he's somewhere out there over the rainbow. He's
Yeah, and maybe
there,
he died.
listening to us. Well, he wasn't in the best of health to begin with, so you know. I was waiting for you to react.
So, thoughts on season 2?
Well, yeah, I mean, I want to grab some more guests. I'd like some more book reviews. What do you think? Where are you going? Are we gonna stop talking about George Floyd finally? Have we put George Floyd to bed, or will we continue?
Listen, like I said, I don't know if Maurice Hall bought a shiny suit, but if not, I think that George Floyd is still hot. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Well, then we might have to get some matching shiny suits, and we've got some fucking
That would be pretty
bangers
sweet. That'd be pretty sweet. Yeah.
packed up for you. I actually have it in my agenda. Every week I set out lists, new fucking ideas for the Cave of Time now. Cave of Time Clips channel. I got all the clips. I'm gonna start work on that tomorrow. And yeah, we're gonna get lots and lots of new content for you, for the viewer, for the listener, for Jason, for me, for everybody. And it's gonna be a blast. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we take it away?
We do have the classic Cave of Time outro song coming up. It's coming up, and I miss it. I miss it. It might. I'm kind of sad right now because it might be the last classic Cave of Time outro song. But I will weather that storm. I do feel like there's something else that I want to say. I do feel like this. I'm not actually not setting myself up right now for some banger. I generally am. I'm genuinely blanking. Is there anything else that I want to say before the season 1 finale? It's been a crazy ride. It really has been. Honestly, looking back, honestly, I know we just did like a quick jog down memory lane, but like. And we were talking earlier about like our like where we thought we would be versus where we are. Okay, so one metric that's absurdly disappointing is the amount of subscribers on YouTube. But like honestly, if you had asked me a year ago if we would have Eggy, Matthew Leshak, Rachel Dolezal, Jesse PS from Pod Awful, if you had asked me about like any of this, like. Handsome Truth, yeah. If you had asked me about any of that, it'd be like, nah, I don't think so. Like, I thought it would be more like, and not to shit on any of our guests, but like we've had like more low key, like, subject matter pros host, unusual podcast host. Like, I would think it would be more in that in that realm, you know.
Yeah.
But like we've got like historic people. We've got historic episodes. We have made history on the Cave of Time live streaming podcast. And I want to thank you, Mike, because obviously it could not have been done without you.
Thank you too, Jason. I'd like to thank you as well. I feel the same way. And you know what? We've worked together in creative shit in the past, and it's kind of rewarding to look back and say, fuck, we just took 7 hours to go through a whole year's worth of work. And if you look at the other stuff we did, we've got like 20 minutes for like a fucking year's worth of work, right? Like, it's really nice to look back and be like, wow, this is a ton of fucking content that we produce, and it's there forever. And I really, really like the format, live stream podcast, you know, once a week. It's a nice hobby to have, man. Like, this is a good creative outlet for us. I'm really, really enjoying it.
I will say, if there was a bit more time to afford to it, it would be so much better. And the other thing I do want to say, is there nothing else going on in chat? Because I am a little actually scared right now that I hurt Hipstar's feelings with what I said. Maybe he was being a little playful and I dug a little too deep.
Well, he's gone, but Matt C's still here. He says, this episode was epic. What you've covered, people don't appreciate. And, you know, we always have like 2 or 3 trickling in, saying their chats and stuff.
Well, that was one of the things that was disappointing through this jog down memory lane, is that probably around halfway through, we had kind of risen up a little in YouTube while not triggering too many algorithmic pitfalls. And you could see like way more people in the chat, like at that point, than most of the time at late. Obviously, when we had Jesse PS on, there was a lot of people in the chat and everything. But,
but they're there for Jesse, right?
Yeah,
they're not
exactly.
there for us. So fucking YouTube chat, you keep harking back like, oh, subscribers are down and likes and metrics. I'm not really worried about it, to be honest. Like, I kind of look at it.
Yeah, no, I'm over that. Like, I genuinely am over YouTube, and that's why, like, we announced this is the last YouTube stream. I mean, unless there's some special circumstance, but this is probably the last YouTube stream for the Cave of Time live streaming podcast. This is definitely the last D-Live stream. Fuck D-Live. New home, Odyssey, ODYSEE. Sign in, get your account, and maybe I'll have the patience to put a link in the description where you can get free cryptocurrency, and we'll get a little cut too.
Yeah. So, I mean, without further ado, this has been 1 year of the Cave of Time, 52 episodes up, 52 episodes down. We always bring it. You know you want it. I get my news from here. You get your news from here. All your friends wish they got their news from here. Have a good night, everybody.
We keep talking. This is a little slow intro with the class.
It's a little slow. The intro going out again. Up, down, every episode, every weekend coming to you, and we'll be here next season, next year. We'll see you. Have a good night, everybody.